just on this sort of subject that we were
discussing
talking about before we got into this. No, but
that was
this,
a performance
the,
10 years ago.
We've done a lot of...
It was good 10 years ago.
No, adjudicators, no, what's the difference with the music?
Well, the point I'm trying to make is when that band comes up on Saturday playing that rubbish, as far as I'm concerned, what is the judge going to do?
As he sees fit.
Well, for a start, no, they couldn't play it the way they played it in Canada because it wouldn't fit the RSPU.
They've changed
so,
the way
no, that's as far as I'm going to go. But
yes.
one of the things I was going to say, we've done a lot of work looking at adjudicator crit sheets, to look at the wide differences. And in most cases, there are some cases where there are totally different sheets, but in most cases, the comments are very much the same. They're picking out the same things. But the placings are quite widely different. Mm-hmm. So we've come to the conclusion that there's something going on in that person's mind that they like something, and it must be the musical effect that puts it up, and the one that doesn't get the musical effect has put it down, because they're picking out the same faults. And there is a tendency in adjudicators to pick out faults rather than think about the overall effect of the music. And you've got to bear in mind that adjudicator gets a very small period of time to actually make an assessment. They only hear it once. Then everybody goes over it in recordings weeks after weeks after weeks and tears the whole thing about. The adjudicator only gets that very short period of time, once hearing it, and you've got to make up your mind, then you can't change it. But that's what is coming out in our assessment of these sheets.
Oh, what do you want to say something about that?
I was going to say that the in terms of the idea of the free-form composition that Toronto Police were saying, I'm making absolutely no comment whatever on the merit of it. But I think there's a strong argument to be made that bands, grade 1 bands, probably only, should be permitted to do whatever they want. They should be allowed to. They should be allowed to do whatever they like to do for 6 to 8 minutes, and there's no trouble adjudicating that. I can promise you that the adjudicators who heard Toronto Police had no difficulty deciding what.
Is this in Canada?
Yeah.
Do they work to the same content strictures as they do here?
Well, you see, there's also an argument to be made that the content strictures are very inhibiting and very destructive of sort of inspiration and creativity. I mean, here's how bad it is. Years ago, I can't remember how many years ago, we wanted to play walking songs coming into the medley, and we did. And we found a way to march to these things. We had these 2 incredibly long 3-pace rolls, and we played walking songs, and some of the guys in the band, big tall guys, were sort of marching like Frankenstein, because they couldn't deal with the slow pace, and so we were marching into playing really neat, really wonderful Gallic music straight from the heart of the whole idiom, right? So some goofy drum major comes over to me before the march passes and says, "We're pleased to know your band has not been disqualified." And right after that came the 78th Fraser's rule that you must play a march in quick time with 2 3-pace rolls. I mean, this is madness. This is the antithesis of what we should be doing. We should be able to do anything we like and be adjudicated on it. And if it's crap, that's what you'll see in the sheets.
I judged that day. It was 1994, and I had been advised this because I liked it. It was such a difference. It was vive la difference. Everybody's coming on with the fire in the pet shop, running on to the middle of the park, and I thought this was just beautiful.
See, I think there's a difference.
I thought this was really nice, and yet one of the officials said you're going to have to disqualify them. We do not, by the way, judges, adjudicators do not disqualify bands.
But there have to be rules, though, and when you guys come and play no grace notes,
It's easy to do, just no grace notes. You're out. It's really easy. I mean, we need rules for March to Spain Reel. I firmly believe that we have to preserve the March to Spain Reel. Even though you don't like the way they're being played, we try really hard to play them very, very well. And we really work at it.
That's cheering up.
I know, it's easier tonight.
I look forward to Saturday.
But the other section, where the grade 1 guys, the top grade 1 people, really have great musicians. Look at all the people you've got in your band who can play a dozen instruments. I'm the same way. I've got people with degrees in music. We can put stuff together that would be so entertaining and so exciting. We just pick that up, take Robert's idea, stick us into the SECC, put the best 12 bands on, charge £20 a head, you fill the joint, it'll be beautiful. Imagine this. You're going to have a contest between 5 string quartets, the best in the world. So what you do is you put them out in the middle of a field with mud up to here, and you allow everybody else to tune up within 10 yards of the goddamn thing that's going on. This is madness, and we have to do something to fix it.
Well, you won't get an argument from me on that one.
I think one of the problems we have with we've seen here is because of the competitive element, pipers don't know how to play music to an audience. They only know how to play music to impress another piper. You know, and very often the selection in music or the decisions they make about their medleys is because they're so focused on trying to impress their peers that they miss the target of the audience. I mean, if you look at the worlds and you look at adjudicators and you say, whoever it is, and there's a couple of them here today, you think, is he really going to be impressed with that big thing with Jig Hornpipe going on and giving it home all the way through? You know? I mean, you're missing the target. The target is that members of the public know when it's good. You don't need to be a piper to know what a good performance is. You know, when you see these television shows like Pop Idol and X Factor, the public rarely get it wrong. You know, they know the difference when music is played correctly. But we seem to be caught up in technicalities and say, I didn't like the Robin Rose. Why? I don't like this.
I completely agree with that, and you know, part of that is not to turn your back on your audience. Yeah. That's something that really has to be sorted out. But it's a more fundamental problem than that. The bagpipe is 9 notes. It's a simple instrument. And I think there's long-term danger in asking the instrument to do things for which it was never made, and asking to play music for which it was never made. And that's where the problem comes in, I think, and this Toronto police thing. And you know, once you step outside the parameters that the instrument gives you, you'll start to lose the glory of the instrument.
I subscribe to that wholeheartedly, and when I've been asked this kind of question over the years, my rule has always been that we have to find material that, first of all, fits and suits the tonality of the bagpipe. Secondly, it has to have some either origin in Celtic or Gaelic music or Irish music, or it has to relate to that in some way. And if you follow those basic guidelines, you're not going to violate the idiom. And the idiom is incredibly beautiful and very, very rich. And the possibilities are endless within those 9 notes.
I like the idea that Robert had said. Robert has muted this before about having the SECC and giving a band 20 minutes. Well, it would have to be done in that kind of environment, because one of our biggest problems, you mentioned earlier, 200 and odd bands, that's probably about 400 performances on Saturday, and it starts at 9 and it finishes at 6. Hey, that's a busy day, and logistically you've got to get through that. The rules have been constructed to get us through that, and that's where we're in a problem. We've got to look at the rules and say, right, we don't want to do that. We want to do something different. Now, it is a democratic organisation, believe it or not. So the players can, if the players want, the players get.